I want to share an amazing story that was heard from Rabbi JJ Schachter. There was a tour guide. His name was Aryeh. And Aryeh's job was to take Israeli high school kids and prepare them to go to the Israeli army. And what he would do is, throughout their senior year, take them to powerful places. And he was working with a particular group one year. And Aryeh was having a really hard time with them. They just really didn't seem so interested. He was trying to open up their hearts, but he was having a hard time. And on the last day, the highlight of the trip was always to go to Har Herzl, to highlight the cemeteries of those brave soldiers who sacrificed so much so that we could have a state. And he's taking them around, showing them soldiers from each year. It's 1948, 56, 67, 73, 82, etc. And as they're walking, they notice something that you might notice when you walk through Har Herzl, the National Cemetery, a name which says Almoni on it. Almoni, in other words, anonymous. And normally, on these graves, it's written, the platoon and the day of birth and the day of death and the name. But here it was written the platoon, birth and death, but anonymous. So the students asked, Aryeh, what's going on? What's the story behind this anonymous? So Aryeh explained the following, that this boy was a Holocaust survivor, and he himself snuck into Israel, what was then called Palestine. And as soon as he gets off of the boat, he was immersed in the war for independence, where Israel was surrounded by several Arab nations fighting for its existence, outnumbered. And Israel had no choice but to give every new immigrant a gun. Sometimes they didn't even speak the same language. And said, here, go to the battlefield, join this platoon, we need your help. And so that's what this boy did, this man. And he fought bravely outside the hills of Jerusalem, and along with most of his platoon was killed. 69 soldiers, and he was amongst those who were killed. And he had no family, and no one knew his name, and even amongst those who survived in his unit, no one really was around to know his name. And that's how it got the name Almoni, or anonymous. So that was the story he told these boys. The boys were very moved, visibly moved. They asked, who says Kaddish for them? Who remembers this man? Who says the Yizkor prayers? And the boys said, Aryeh said, no one. But, that's one of the reasons I'm so happy that we came here to remember this man. And the boys are moved, and the tour ended. And the boys moved on, and they went to the army, and Aryeh moved on to the next year's group. And about a year later, Aryeh gets a call from one of the boys. He's very excited. One of the boys who we had last year said, do you remember our group? And he said, of course. He said, you remember that Almoni guy that we met? He said, of course. It was such a special, special moment. And the boy says, you wouldn't believe it. We found his family. We found his family. Aryeh's like, what do you mean? How do you find his family? Like, how's that possible? It's 70 years later already. And they say, it's his yahrzeit. Today's the day of his passing. And people are praying, saying Tehillim, learning Mishnayos, studying, praying in honor of his yahrzeit. And his family's there right now. We have the family. Come check it out for yourself. Aryeh, come. So Aryeh was in shock, and he says, okay. And he took the drive down with a lot of excitement. And he gets to Har Herzl and goes to this grave. And who does he see there? These boys. These boys. And they told Aryeh, Anachnu HaMishpacha. We're his family. We're his family. And they were studying and learning in his honor. And every year on his yahrzeit, on the day of his passing, they come back and they still study and learn. And this is the story of the Jewish people. We're all family. And you see it here in the army. Everyone's there for each other. You see it outside of the army, even more so sometimes, the unity. You see it out in the world where people are praying and sending money, sending gifts, and just trying to feel for people and be there for each other. And this is how we know we're going to survive, because we're the family of God, there to spread light, to fix the world, to make the world a better place. Am Yisrael Chai. And thank you to Rabbi Jacobson for teaching me this story. May you teach it to the world. And may we always be there for each other, because when we're there for each other, we're family. Then we can never be defeated.